I really love saturated niches, and in this video, I'm going to explain how to win in a saturated niche. My name's Charlie. I built and scaled a marketing agency to 7 figures in one of the most saturated niches. It was the gym niche. And I built and scaled a coaching business that scaled to multi 7 figures in one of the most saturated niches, right? The agency niche. And I've developed a strategy to crush any niche and conquer any niche. And in this video, I'm going to explain this strategy. I love saturation and I love niches that are crowded and saturated. I like noisy niches, and I think that if you can learn to think and use the strategy that I'm going to explain in this video, then you will too love saturation. All right, I love saturation like an ice cream on a sunny day. To be fair, I don't even like ice cream. Dairy doesn't treat me very well, but that's a story for another day. I've got a system, a little technique for you. You're going to love it, right? Because when you learn this, I mean, life will just get easy and you'll be able to acquire clients and you'll just, you know, you'll be printing money like the Fed. I might get demonetized for saying that, but you'll be printing, right? So listen, I'm going to hop into Miro. I'm going to cut the clip in and I'll see you in there. Ladies and gentlemen, saturation is wonderful. And in this video, after I've explained why, I'm hoping your mind will be changed. All right? By the way, I've got a 997. I'm joking. I do not sell a 997 course. I do not have a webinar. I do not have a case study. I do not have free training. None of that crap, just straight value. I think that client acquisition should be easy for everyone that deserves it, right? So that's what these videos are for. I have something to sell you, but I'm not going to do it on this video, all right? Right, boys and girls, pay attention. Saturation, right? Now, you need to change your relationship with this word, right? I'm well aware that that doesn't look like the word saturation. It looks like I'm pretty illiterate. But you need to change your relationship with saturation, because until you do, you will constantly live in fear and terror, and your belief system will completely destroy your life. By the way, if you can hear my laptop, it sounds like someone who hasn't exercised for 20 years has just walked up a flight of stairs because I'm exporting a video. So sorry about that. But you need to realign your relationship with saturation. So the first thing, right, let's have a big old zoom in here on our lovely Miro board, is we'll start, that's a little bit too close, isn't it, mate? We'll start with the first thing, which is the belief, right? So if you believe that saturation is a bad thing and you are in a saturated niche, then you will naturally make it hard for you to acquire clients, right? Human beings, we're very funny creatures. We have no choice but to behave and act and manifest physical behavior in alignment with what we fundamentally believe to be true. So it's called praxis, right? If you believe something is a certain way, you will treat it in that way. So if you believe saturation is bad, then you're going to be fucked. Now, there's an argument here where you don't want to believe things are good when they are bad. Because if saturation truly was bad, then you should probably just believe that because you want to believe objective reality. Not doing that is quite a big mistake. But here's the beautiful thing. So I'm going to draw a nice big, supposed to be a circle, looks like Stewie Griffin, doesn't it? But I'm going to do, it doesn't really actually, but anyway. So here's how you need to look at this, right? So saturation, first of all, number one lesson of saturation, right? Number one is that niches do not saturate, right? Offers saturate, right? And positions, right? So offers saturate, positions saturate, niches do not saturate. For a niche to become saturated, right, what it would mean is that everyone in that niche, everyone in that market has their problem solved overnight, right? So if you take the gym niche and you've got 70,000 gyms in the US, Canada, the UK, whatever, that's your market, right? They're struggling with client acquisition or membership acquisition. For that niche to become truly saturated, what would have to happen is you'd have to wake up tomorrow morning and every single gym no longer needs more members. For as long as there is demand, supply is necessary, right? And what that means is that people say, oh, like this niche is saturated or this niche is saturated. It's like, you know that girl, that meme where she's like looking like that. Niches don't saturate, offers and positions do, right? So offers and positions. Well, an offer, what does this mean? Right? Well, an offer is simply a way of positioning, right? Your product, oh God, but it's a way of positioning your product and your service and your business, right? And so let's understand positioning for a second here, right? So what do I mean when I say that positions saturate? So positioning works on a scale of contrast, right? What that means is that if you have a person here and another person here with scoliosis. These two people, right, if they're operating in the same market, they are positioned against each other, right? So you can't, when someone says if I say your offer positions your business, what I mean by that is it positions you against something else. And this is why saturation is so fucking good, right? So let's say, for example, this is the market. This bubble, right, is the market. I'm going to explain this. It will all make sense in just a second. Bear with me. I missed my awful jokes. So let's say that you've got let's take this stick man, right? And let's say, I want to take his whole body, not his leg. Let's say that this is the market. And over here, right, are your competitors, right? Now, here's the wonderful thing about human nature, especially the nature of marketing agency owners, is we live in a very monkey see, monkey do system, right? And what that means is that everyone just wants to copy everyone. Nobody wants to think critically. Everyone's insecure about their own abilities to make decisions, and so they look to authority figures and other people to decide what they should do. And that's not just in the agency space, but it's extremely prevalent for whatever reason. So what this means, right, is the market is the bubble, that's Stewie Griffin's caved-in head, right? And what saturates is not the market. The market cannot saturate, because a market can only become saturated when the problem is no longer gone. It's gone. So when a solution is no longer required to a painful problem, then a niche saturates, right? An example of this is like e-commerce, right? If you start an e-commerce brand, you have to compete with Amazon. And the problem that Amazon solves is every single product delivered to you pretty much instantly at the cheapest price. So that one's already been solved. So I would argue to say that it's hard to start an e-commerce brand these days, because the problem is there's not a massive problem. You can get anything you want delivered to you tomorrow for the lowest price possible on one single website that you trust. So to compete with that, fuck. But there's no agency in your niche that has that level of, that umbrella of prowess in your market, right? For example, Gym Launch was one of our competitors back in the day when we were working with gyms. And I think Gym Launch has probably signed 4,000 or 5,000 gyms. To put it into contrast, there are 50,000 gyms in the US. So even though they were the biggest and the best and the meanest and the baddest, and they had tens of millions of dollars in revenue, and Hormozi had some wonderful calves, and I'm sure that contributed to it. But even though they had all that stuff, they still only had less than 10% of the entire market. So when you look at your competition, you need to understand that most people you're competing with are dog shit at what they do, and they can't solve the problem, and they always have been struggling in business, which is why they haven't grown. So most of your competitors aren't actually competitors. They're like jokes, right? Don't mean to demean anyone, but when I look at my market, for example, helping agency owners acquire clients, and I look at some of the products that people have built to help people do that, it makes me a little bit happy. Not in the sense that they fuck people over, but I know how little effort they put in. Now, I'm not here to tell you about my product or anything. I don't want to contrast. But my point here is when you look at your market and you look at your competition, you think, oh my God, competition. It's most of those people aren't even going to be able to compete with you. And the ones that actually can aren't even going to take more than 10% of the market anyway. So there's so much to go around. So that's the first thing. Now, positioning, right? So the more people, right? So I'm going to sort of draw this out and just double this, right? So let's say that this is this is your competition, right? So the more people that enter a market and start doing the same thing, the better, right? And I'm going to explain why. So you want, right, more and more people to flood your market. You want as much competition as you can possibly get, because what you can understand is that 99% of your competitors will all be doing the same thing, right? They're all going to be offering the same thing. They're all going to have the same messaging, the same copy, the same sales script, the same service delivery process, the same onboarding process. There's literally a course. It's called Copy and Paste Agency. And it really vexes me, because it's not how business works. If everyone copies everyone, then things fail. And then people start saying, oh, the market's saturated. But the reality is, no, you just didn't think critically and you copy. It really pisses me off, right? So how this works is the more people that come into the market, right, there's a bias, there's a gravitation of bias towards the quo, right, the status quo. And what that means is that, if someone's looking at your niche, right, and they think, oh, I'm going to join this niche, they're very likely just to bolt themselves on, to this fucking ball of, average, right? When usually it's below average, because if you try and become average, you become below. So why is this a good thing? Well, I want you to imagine for a second that, you know, all of these people over here, right? I wonder if I can actually do this a second, because I can put this into visual form and it will really help you. So I want you to imagine that all of these people are trying to get the attention of your niche, right? But the thing is all of them are, let's just say all of them are like, I don't know, they're all green. No, the green's a bad color because it denotes positive, right? Let's say all of these people are red, right? This color of red. Their business, their offer, their message, their outreach, their service delivery, their price, like all of the variables in a business, they look the same, right? So when someone in your niche with a problem that you can solve looks at your competitors, they see a sea of red, right? And the beautiful thing about this is that the more people that join your niche, the bigger this sea becomes, right? And the more people join in, and the more red everyone looks, right? And this is a really good thing, because you might think, oh, but there's everyone coming into the niche and taking the clients. All you have to do, right, is come along with all of your glory and 2 extra legs. All you have to do is come along, right, and change your color. Because now, right, you've positioned yourself in a different way, a different offer, a different message, a different script, a different outreach method, a slightly different service delivery process. Like, you can take things that are similar, but all you have to do, the bigger this ball of shit is, the more people there, the smaller you have to make a change to seem different, right? Because eventually what starts to happen here, right, with your competition is, like, there become so many people that what starts to happen is it doesn't look like anything anymore. It just, all your niche sees is like just massive sea of red. And they don't see individual businesses, they just group them all into the same category. And so the more and more and more people, the bigger this thing becomes, right, the easier it is for you to differentiate yourself. Because then you can still be red, but let's just say that you're a slightly darker shade of red. Like, you're still very similar to everybody else, but you've changed 1 or 2 things a tiny bit in your business, right? The more people there are, the less change you have to make to position yourself from them. And this is good, because if you're just a little bit different, right, every time someone else joins your niche who does what everybody else does, then you seem darker. So you don't have darker, there's no race, you know, there's no racial, you know, what would you call it? There's no racial like impression supposed to be made in this video, like darker, lighter. It's not a skin tone thing. You get my point. Like, you know, every time someone else comes along and starts a business and copies what everybody else does, they add to this sea of light red, right? And the best strategy is just to position yourself a little bit differently, and then, like, the more and more and more people join this thing, the lighter and lighter and lighter the red becomes, until all you see is this just sea of red. And then the darker you are, the easier it is, right? So once again, I can't stress enough, I'm not getting cancelled because I'm not being fucking racist. It's not about dark and light. That's not what I'm trying to say. But you should, if you have an elementary level school brain, then you should know what I'm trying to say. So that's that, right? And then you get people that do this, right? And then what starts to happen is they will, this is the thing about how it works, right? Is that once you start doing this, or a couple of people start doing this, and it starts working really well, then what happens, right? By their, you know, intellectual prowess, everyone over here, right? Oh, it's just, this is going to break my Miro board. Everyone over here, right? What they do is they then change their color to dark red. And then it no longer works. And then what they do is they say, oh, the niche is saturated, like, oh, hot niche because the niche is saturated. It's like, that's not how it works. It doesn't work like that. The offer, the position is what saturates you. And so when this happens over here, what you need to do is you need to then change your color to something completely different, right? And so this is why, like, this is why I find it really easy to win in a really saturated niche, because all you have to do is seem a little bit different. The bigger the more saturation, the more intense and concentrated the saturation of a specific offer or business position or service or offer or message, the easier it is to differentiate yourself just by changing a slight thing. And so the more saturated your niche is, the easier it actually is to differentiate yourself, because it only requires a tiny bit of differentiation to set a huge, you know, contrast between you and someone else, right? So, you know, that's how I win in saturated niches. I've done it for the agency niche. Now I've done it for the coaching consulting niche. Now I've done it for the gym niche, you know, and people, they start businesses and then they're like, oh, like, Charlie, do you not worry about your competition? And I'm like, well, that massive sea of red over there, and I'm like a beacon of blue. like the best thing to do, right, is it would be for you just to like, you know, and I'm not saying like there's a reason that, you know, you want to sort of try and emulate what other people are doing to some degree, because obviously it's working, but the best thing to do would just be to be like Blue, you know, and just be so different. Now, you might be wondering, well, how do I do this? Like, what's the thing that I need to change? And typically it's the offer, but the only real way to change your offer is to improve your service. And so what I've found, ironically, is that the people that are able to do this are the people that are just better than everybody else. And the cool thing about that is that the more people that join your niche and the more concentrated and saturated it becomes, the lower the level of competency typically, because they all start doing the same thing, which eventually stops working, because it not only applies to an acquisition method, but also a retention method. You know, if you've got, take the e-com niche, for example, right? If you've got everyone starts employing the same strategy to acquire clients, and then once they get those clients, they do the same strategy to deliver results for those clients, then those clients start becoming unhappy because your service is no different. And also, like, now all of the, like, if you get, you know, if you've got 1,000 fashion brands and all of the same ads have been running and it just doesn't work, it's just stupid, right? So my point here is it's possible. You just need to learn to think differently, right? You just need to see yourself differently, position yourself differently. It's kind of like, look, I'll leave you with this metaphor in closing, right? Imagine that you are, let's say that you are on a stage, right? And in the audience is your niche, right? So 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 businesses, and they're making a decision like, who should I buy from? Or like, how do I know who should I work with? So you're on a stage, right? Let me map this out, right? So let's say that, you know, this is a stage, right? And then, you know, you've got these chairs. You know, let's just say you're on a stage, and then in all of these chairs, you've got your niche just sort of chilling out with my artistic prowess, right? And let's say that your niche is just chilling out, right? And you've got, you know, this is like, you know, times 1,000, right? And then the niche is looking at the stage, and they're like, well, who should I work with? I've got this painful problem that I need to, you know, get solved. Who should I work with? And then, you know, let's say that you've got like everybody's on the stage and, you know, all of that, right? And let's just copy and paste this person over and over again, right? It's like, okay. So let's just, you know, you can multiply these by 1,000 probably, right? Oh, he's not very well, is he? Let's just get rid of him. So then you're on a stage, right? You know, for whatever reason, and you know, there's all of these people trying to compete with you, right? And the niche is looking at the stage, and they're trying to distinguish, like, who should I work with? I want this problem solved, but who should I work with? And if everybody's blue on the stage, right, then the niche, all they see is just blue, and they're going to have to just pick it random. And that's how most businesses pick and make decisions on who to work with, because they all look so similar. But if you come along and you just change your color to, like, you know, a different shade of blue, then suddenly, like, you can change your shade a tiny bit, but the more people that are behind you that are the dark blue, if you just become a little bit lighter in blue, then you have this massive contrast. So it's like, that's the point I'm trying to make here, is it's like the more people that are in your niche and do the same thing, and that just, you know, monkey see, monkey do everything, as that bubble grows and grows and grows, it becomes exponentially easier for you to just make a huge difference in your positioning by a tiny change. So the more saturated it is, the easier it is to differentiate, and the less you have to do to differentiate, right? And then the niche will obviously think, oh, well, this guy's light blue, like, he's obviously doing something different. He can think critically, like, I can actually see him. Instead of just seeing that sea of blue, I can see, oh, I'll just pick him, right? So that's how it works. And like it you know, you can build a strategy around this. This is how I see it. It doesn't take a genius to suss it out after, like, you know, I mean, I've worked with almost 400 agencies and coaches and consultants, and, you know, we've helped them systemize client acquisition. Don't worry, there's no pitch. And like, this is the thing that I see just over and over again. Like, people come to us and then they're like, oh, like, I can't get appointments. And then we look at their business and then it's like, I've seen this before 100 times. That means your market has. Think, you know. So that's what we do. Anyways, listen, if this video was useful, I'd encourage you to like it, because when you like stuff that helps you, the algorithm is incentivized to show you more stuff that helps you. So that'd be useful. You can also comment anything. If you've got any like questions or video ideas, or any requests or problems you want me to solve through making a video, then drop them in the comments below, and you can subscribe, because that will make my day. And you don't have to subscribe, because I did make some dodgy drawings, but if you did enjoy it, I would appreciate it. It would mean so much. But yeah, that's everything from me. I hope you enjoyed it. In And if you're struggling to acquire clients, check out the link in the description. I don't care if you do or not, it might help you. All right, take care. Ciao.